This is the National Agenda, your go-to political show where we discuss all pressing national issues from grassroots level all the way through to national policy analysis. Yes, today we've come your way again to discuss a pressing issue. It's been trending. Let me go straight to it. The Ghana Armed Forces recruitment process. It started yesterday, and unfortunately for us as a country, we have experienced some sort of a setback, if I should say. Let me take you back as a way of informing you. Look, every single year, the Ghana Armed Forces recruit a number of Ghanaian youth into the army just to, reinforce its, strength, if I should say, let me put it like that, in a layman's language. We all also know that last year, during the 2024 December elections, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promised a lot of Ghanaian youth more jobs. And so, as a way of fulfilling his promise, he intends that in the next 3 years, the Ghana Armed Forces recruit over 12,000 youths in this country. So, it was a good news that for the very first time, a lot of people had applied and were going to see themselves getting enrolled into the service. But little do we know that we would be faced with this challenge. Now, let's look at what happened yesterday at the Airwax Sports Stadium. You can see in this video that a number of people converged at the Airwax Sports Stadium to the point that they couldn't even fill the stadium. Now, the question that I want to ask our government officials is this. If we know that we as a country did not have that facility that can hold this number of people, why then do we even move them there? I mean, it's a question for our leaders to answer. We even know that earlier this year, when the processes started, the registration process started, the portal failed. And at some point in time, applicants were asked to hold on. And then again, we understand that according to the officers over there, we've been told that a lot of people came to the grounds using dubious ways to come there. And if I say dubious ways, what I mean is that people came there on protocol grounds. So they were expecting, for instance, about, say, 10,000 people, and then they come there and there are more than 10,000. How is it that we live in a country where these things happen? The other thing that I am even worried about is the fact that we live in the 21st century where digitalization is a norm now. Can't it be that we as a country will screen these people using digital means? That's the question we ask our leaders all the time. Should it always be that we converge at a place and there will be stampede? And even if we are converging, my point is very simple. If we are converging, are we saying that we don't have enough militiamen to regulate the process, that this person stays at a particular point, at a particular place, that person comes after this person? I mean, as by way of even recommending, we know we have the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army. We could have done this in a very holistic manner, where we say the Air Force people should come today, the Navy people can come today, and the rest can come another day. This is a very simple way that we could have used to even avert these things from happening. We shouldn't sit down as a country and see these things happen before we see our leaders take measures to try and resolve it. At the end of the year, what do we do? I mean, let me take the opportunity to even express my deepest condolences to the families who have lost their children. And so I've gone to lose my life. This is not a promise our leaders gave us. You understand? This is not a promise our leaders gave us. So we are making a clarion call to our leaders out there. The acting minister for defense, please, we need you to answer certain questions. We know that your system is flawed. We know that people are getting into the army without using the proper means. People are paying. See, I know an individual who paid over 10,000 Ghana cedis to get into the army and never got in there. I know a number of people who paid the same amount of money and came there yesterday, but for some reasons, they were unable to what? To even start the process in the first place. You understand? So we need our leaders to answer to certain questions. We as Ghanaians are worried. This is not the country we bargained for. this is not how we expected you to handle certain things. In fact, we expect a lot from the incumbent government. Now, when this issue happened, people were saying 12 people have died. Some were saying the numbers were so many. And so, by way of information, we came across a letter from the Ghana Armed Forces. And quickly, let's look at what the letter is saying. Good. So this was a press release by the Ghana Armed Forces, and you can see it says Stampede joined the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment process at the EWAC Stadium. And it says that the Ghana Armed Forces deeply regrets to inform the general public of a tragic stampede prior to the commencement of the 2025-2026 exercise today, that was yesterday, Wednesday on the 12th of November 2025, at the EWAC Sports Stadium in Accra. Now, according to them, preliminary investigations indicate that the stampede was triggered by unexpected surge of applicants. Unexpected surge. Now, we have a portal and we know the number of people who have come, who have applied. How then do we say that we have an unexpected surge? Because if we claim that we have control over the numbers, in fact, we know that our portals work, we should not be saying that it was an unexpected surge. We know what we are doing. And then the last but one paragraph goes on to say that the unfortunate incident led to the death of 6 potential recruits. My deepest condolences to their families. And we understand that many others have also been injured. And they go on to say that the injured are currently receiving emergency medical care at the 37 Military Hospital. The Ghana Armed Forces assure the general public that medical teams are working tirelessly to stabilize the affected individual. Meanwhile, the Ghana Armed Forces we've heard this over and over. My point is very simple. We as a country should not sit down and expect that we'll do things in the past, like we are doing things now that as if we are in 1960 something. No. We should let technologies work on our behalf. We have a portal that is working. The portal is what the people are using to apply. So if the numbers are surging up and you know you don't need 20,000 and you know you need 10,000, we beg you, when we get to the number or the threshold, cut it. When you do this, you give us a reason to believe that somebody's parochial interest is what one is looking for. Yes. You are giving Ghanaians a reason to say that, look, it is because you want more money, that's why you are doing this. We beg you. We beg you. Anyway, we'll pause here and then go on to have a discussion on this matter deeply. We are going to look at it from both sides, the opposition and the incumbent. So stay with us. Yes, we are back and we are going to discuss the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment into details. And to help me discuss this issue today, I have in the studios with me Daniel Frimpong, who is the PA, let me put it like that, to the NPP's National Treasurer, Dr. Jamina. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And also with him is Nazil Said. He is a former NUC's presidential aspirant and a youth advocate. It's the first time seeing you in the studio.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Nice
You're
being
welcome.
here myself.
Good.
Thank you.
So we have seen the tragic incidents that happened yesterday. It is something that we are all not proud of. As a country, we believe that we should move away from the orthodox ways of doing things. We live in a contemporary era. Technology is there. In fact, resources are there. We shouldn't have people queue to experience what they experienced yesterday. I mean, it doesn't speak well for us as a country. Nazil, let me come straight to you. Your take on this issue, even before we start to analyze the situation.
All right. Thank you very much, Ofobi. First of all, I'd like to express my condolences to the families of the 6 bereaved girls in their quest to serve this country, Mother Ghana. Especially, I also want to touch on the fact that anybody wanting to join the military is not just a mere seeking for greener pasture, but I see it as an act of servitude and wanting to commit yourselves to commit your life entirely to the service of this country.
Certainly.
Obviously, the entire process of body selection and screening as a whole is an international best practice that is practiced worldwide. for the ones that I know, the Commonwealth military in the UK and even in the United States of America, this is something that is very well done in the international best practices space. But are we usurping the entirety of the international best practices such that we have over 13,000 people crowd up at one particular place for an entire procedure? And this isn't the first time we are hearing of this. There's been stampede year after year. Anytime they are massing up at Elwak, you hear of stampedes, you hear about more treatment, you hear about people getting injured and what have you. This isn't the way to go. As much as recording 28 casualties, I feel it is bad for us as a country. When I talked about international best practice, what we know is that people are being screened in batches. When you go to the United States and the United Kingdom, the recruitment is even all year round, such that even at graduations, you see the military high command coming around, engaging students and enlisting students from there. These students go in groups, meet at the MEPS and have their screenings done for them at different times in the year. So what can we not do? And it was expected that we are going to have a lot of people show up or a lot of people applying. Statistics have it that there are over 60,000 that applied this year, and only about 4,000 or 5,000 across all the three branches of the military are going to be enlisted, because the proposed number they gave us was 12,000 over the 4-year period. So approximately we should have about 3,000 or 4,000 being enlisted this particular year. Now, how do you gather 13,000 people at one particular, in as much as the recruitment process or the screening process was regional? I think the numbers that were in Accra, based on our population census, the numbers that are here are cumbersome, and as a matter of fact have yielded this negative outcome for us. So I'll add my voice to the voices of the thousands of Ghanaians who have called for the fact that this should be done in batches. There are a lot of public spaces, there are a lot of stadiums around where we can usurp to the advantage of this exercise. So I would say that in as much as this process is an international best practice, we should learn to the latter, try as much as possible to regroup and divide these people into different groups before we conduct such exercises to avoid such problems.
All right, Nazo, thank you so much. I appreciate your point. Let me come to you, Danny. From the opposition's point of view, I have heard some opposition members making claims that people have taken monies. A number of them that we saw at the Ewak Sports Stadium are people who probably did not even go through the process in the first place, but some way, somehow ended up there.
Okay.
Are you asserting to these claims, or you have another opinion?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ofobi. I would like to also use the opportunity to send my condolences to the bereaved families who lost their children through the process. The opposition's point of view, for me, I happen to have the experience of going through the same process these children are going through.
You wanted to be in the military?
Yeah, at 2016,
so
when
I
completed SHS, I bought forms and I wanted to join the military. And one loophole that I've seen in the military is that, as my brother said earlier, they are going to just take about 3,000 of them. Why do we use the opportunity to even extort from the country, the people who are in need of job?
Sorry that I had to come through. So you mean they are extorting them?
Yes.
Do we have any evidence to?
No. What I mean is that when you allow me to land, you get ahead. My point. Ofobi, you have a system. You have a quota of people you are going to recruit. So if you are going to recruit 3,000, the maximum you can sell, the maximum form you can sell is about 5,000. Then you take your 3,000 out of it. But here is the case: we are selling forms to people, about 50,000 forms. Why? This is cheap politics we are doing. You heard the president yesterday said that previously when they are doing recruitment, you don't hear about it, you see that. But yesterday, one of the guys at the sports stadium said this is the second time. Last year he bought the forms and he went to the same airwork. This thing didn't happen because everything in this country has been reduced to politics. It's about MPP and DC. Anything that happens, we have to score political points out of it. When I bought the form 2016, I went to Koforidua. And you know what I realized? Before I bought the forms, I had someone who advised me that Accra is always choked. So I should choose different region. When you go there, it's very flexible. The people there are not many. So when you go there, the process is very fast. And indeed, when I go to Koforidua, I realized that, but why? So one thing I said is that if the Ghana Armed Forces know that always Accra is choked, why don't we make sure that we are giving a quota to each region? So when you are buying the form in the system, let's say Accra, we are giving 5,000 people screening in Accra. Eastern region, 5,000 people. Then you share it across the country. So when you are buying, by the time you are buying the forms and Accra, the quota is full, you choose different region. Then you go there for your screening. You don't have to pack all of them in one place, because the way the system is, if all the people who are buying the forms decide to choose Accra, the other regions are empty. This one like this, as is happening here, go to the northern regions and the other regions. It's empty. You go there and you have about, let's say, 2,000 people there. Whilst Accra here, we have more than 60,000 people gathering in one place. Why?
I get it. I mean, I appreciate your point. Could this be as a result of procedural inefficiencies on the part of the recruitment process?
I believe that we are doing politics with the recruitment process.
And if you say so,
my reason for saying that is simple. You know you are going to take about 3,000 people across board. Why do you sell forms to people, to about 60,000 people? Why? For what?
This is not the first time.
And at the end of the day, the people are also using their money. The one who is coming to look for a job will use his money, go through all this stress to the point of people dying, and he will not get a job. What's the end? To what end? That people have to go through this frustration. At the end of the day, you know you are going to take 3,000, and you sell forms to about 60,000 people, knowing very well that you are not picking 60,000. The rest will go through all this stress to the point of losing their lives. To what end? Are we helping our people?
Well,
are we helping the youth?
Hold on there. Let me go back to Nazil. Nazil, what I want to ask is this. It's very simple and clear. Look, is it a matter of taking money from Ghanaians to serve some sort of a political interest? Or is this a matter of inclusivity, where we are allowing everybody in the country to be at liberty or have the leverage to apply and see who gets in?
Okay, Ofobi, so from what you are saying, are we trying to malign the Ghana Armed Forces of engaging in politics? That cannot be the case, Ofobi. That cannot be the case. We know Ghana Armed Forces is an arm of the government that's responsible for territorial defense, so we cannot...
Yes, we understand that, but then again, we also know that its leaders, some way, some are appointed by the incumbent government, the president. We know that the chief of defense staff is appointed by the president. So certainly, if people are saying they are being political, they may have their own reasons, and it makes a lot of logical sense.
So, Phoebe, the Ghana Armed Forces is over 50 years old. So, since the days of independence, forms to enter, I think only the Nkrumah military, the Nkrumah soldiers, which my father happened to be a part of, were the only people who were enlisted without having to buy forms. Okay. Every military officer who has been enlisted into the army has bought forms at a fee. I side with the argument that the fees might be cumbersome. Even this year, it was reduced by about 30%. The fees might be cumbersome and whatnot, but as a military organization that also runs on some of these resources, on any day, they cannot cap the number of people to enter because of the principles of inclusivity. And fairness. It's a meritocracy system that we are practicing. So immediately you cap the number of people who are able to apply, you breach these principles, which are the cardinal principles underlining our fundamental human rights in our constitution. So it does not sit well to say, let's cap the number of people. However, the military itself has a cap, and they've dictated that there are 12,000 people that they are going to enlist over this period. It is, however, unfortunate that the number of people in our country who want to join the army is rather huge. And I don't know if to call it alarming or interesting, because any country that has this number of people wanting to serve in this army must be a very rich country.
Nazo, even on that note, I am tempted to say that some people, for want of a job, are now being pushed to enter the army. Yes, it's very evident, unless probably there are other reasons. But we listen to Ghanaians when they speak to us, and most often than not, people are now encouraging their children to enter into the army, for instance, because they don't have jobs to do. I'm coming back to you again on the grounds that during the 2024 elections, the NDC made campaign promises of providing jobs for the Ghanaian youth. We've seen them launch the Ejumera project. And then we also heard ahead of time when he was inducted into office as president, somewhere in June, stated that he was going to give room for for people to apply to the armed forces. And this time around, he asked that there is some sort of a transparency in the system to allow the average Ghanaian to get in. And so we believe that this is what is even bringing about the huge numbers, if I should say. Now, if we are making this statement as an incumbent government, why then is it that we could not make proper arrangements to curtail some of these issues that happened?
Thank you very much, Ofobi. Ofobi, an attempt to push this blame on the government's architecture for having a hand in this. Inadvertently, the Ghana Armed Forces falls under the executive arm of government. So just as I was speaking with you, I've seen a notification from the acting Minister for Defense asking all the people who were involved in this enlistment process to step aside for investigations to happen as to why this unfortunate incident happened. However, we should hit the hammer right on the head of the nail. No executive officer of this administration elected as of December 7, 2024 is a member of the Ghana Armed Forces rank and file. Beyond the president being the commander-in-chief, there's been procedural standings by the Ghana Armed Forces HR department on how and manner they do recruitment. And as I've said, this stampedes happening at LWAC has been happening year on. So an attempt to blame the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces, I'll sit on that fence for us to blame the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces. And personally, I heard the late Omanebo Amao, Minister of Defense, say in Parliament that for him, this whole criteria of body selection is something he would have reviewed. So I believe personally that had he been alive, this wouldn't have been the case we are talking about today. However, the military rank and file has its own modus operandi, and this has been done over the past 50 years, where they bunch up people at LWAC Sports Stadium. Yeah. So for us to level the blames on the central government, no, I won't sit on that fence. But for us to blame the military high command, chief of defense staff, even the Ministry of Defense, I would sit on the fence for us to lay blame on them. And I'm sure that is why they've taken responsibility to make sure that all the people involved are remanded and all the issues are properly investigated.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Danny, back to you. Now, since the opposition is even blaming the government, and the average Ghanaian is also asserting that, look, it's because of procedural inefficiencies, I want us to look at what we could have done right. What do you think are some of the things that the government or the heads and the leaders of the Ghana Armed Forces could have done properly to avert this issue?
Okay. Ofobi, I told you I've had the opportunity to go through some of this process. So, this process is a process that you cannot bypass it. You must go through. Because I remember when we went to Koforidua. It's part of the regiment. Yeah. When we went to Koforidua, you go with your certification. They have to go through your certificate. When you are filling the forms online, you have to enter your grades. They will go through and verify the grades you entered and the one you have in your certificate. Okay. Verify the authenticity of your certificate. The birth certificate you use to apply, they have to make sure the date of birth on it is the same thing you entered on the portal. Okay. They go through all these documentation processes. When you are done, they go to body selection. The body selection, you go to a room where they have about 7 military men, both male and female. You go inside in batches, 5. When you go inside, you take off your dress.
Wow.
Naked, yeah.
And you did so?
Yeah, I did so. Unfortunately for me, when we were going inside, they had one female military officer who was part of the team who were expecting us. And when we were just about to enter, she had a coin. She went out. So by the time she came back, we were done. But
I see.
The other people, they went through the same process.
Okay.
You go naked, they screen your body, make sure you are okay. From there, then after that, you write
hold on.
exams.
Let me ask. When you strip naked, what were some of the things that they
they will let you cough. Then they will examine your balls and see testicles and see if you don't have any problem with it. They will make sure your body, if you don't have any scar that it can affect you when you go to training. They will take you through a scrutiny that they will make sure that the person they are selecting is fit for the job. And it is something that I applaud them. It's very good they do those things. Okay. But my only problem is that the quota you are taking. So make sure that you spread them across the country in order to avoid some of this gathering a lot of people in airwork.
All right.
You understand?
So let's come back to this. So is that what you think could have been done?
Yes.
To avert this.
The other way around is that they could have grouped them that this number of people will come this date to this date.
Okay.
Then this number of people will come, because as soon as you buy the form, you have a code. As soon as you buy the form, you finish filling the form, you have a code.
Okay.
And they will send you the date for your screening and everything. So I'm sure that they send these people the date for their screening. And that is why you saw them there. You understand? And it's a process that if they are using 1 week, they will make sure that within that 1 week, they take everybody through.
All right. So,
and all this process they are taking them through here, this is not the end though. We did it in Eastern region. From there, we came back to Burma camp and went through the same process again. And we went to 37 military hospital and had our medicals.
Wow.
It's a bunch of process that you have to go through.
Right. So that's fair. Nazil, let me come back to you. People are of the view that the selection process is flawed. It's not merit-based. It's filled with corruption. I mean, I gave a scenario earlier that I know somebody who paid 10,000 Ghana cedis to get in, and yet it didn't happen. In fact, the numbers are many. People are paying huge sums of money to get in. How do we ensure, or can the Ghana Armed Forces ensure that selection is based on merit and not based on issues of corruption?
Okay, thank you very much. I think our predecessors and our forefathers have said that any institution that has a human element in it has an opportunity to be flawed, or there's subject for a bit of dirtiness in there. However, I believe that the Ghana Armed Forces, as a disciplined institution as they are, for instance, every institution in this country have had an iota of innuendo being casted at them around corruption and malpractices and what have you. I believe, from where I sit, as a cadet myself, having risen from the junior ranks through to the national cadet, I believe that the Ghana Armed Forces, as disciplined as they are, should be able to overcome some of these challenges. Having also the fair knowledge of some of these things, I do not want to be sued by the Ghana Armed Forces. However, based on hearsay and some of the things we have heard, I believe that going forward, some of these systems must have independent bodies having an oversight into some of these engagements, because I've also heard a lot of people talk about having to bribe, having to pay money for protocols and what have you. And I believe going forward, as I said, there should be independent audits by independent agencies who would have an oversight look into the activities of the recruitment process, not just with the Ghana Armed Forces, with the police service, immigration, fire, prisons, and all the other service in the country.
All right, so we'll be going. But then before we go, let me ask this. We have heard the president in statement that we put a hold on the recruitment process here in Accra. Is that the way forward?
I think in a show of solidarity to even the people who were bereaved, the 6 girls and the 22 other injured personnel, it's only fair that we halt the process and have a real look at it. I'm sure that is why the acting defense minister has also released a communique that we investigate this. I think it's a step in the right direction. That yesterday we experienced a stampede. Should they continue today? What are the chances we won't experience another one? So it's only fair.
That is fair, but people will be affected. Those that traveled from other places just to
no. So the segregation was done such that if you are within the environs of Accra, there's a regional segregation. Okay. Every regional capital is doing the same exercise. Okay. So as a matter of fact, all the people who were present yesterday are supposed to be within the Accra enclave. Okay. So for me personally, my recommendation is that within the 34 or 35 constituencies in Accra, we can go down to do a zonal breakdown, such that we have about 5 constituencies gathering at a particular place. Okay. When you do the math, you will have about 900 people in a particular place. I think that's the way to go. But the president calling for a hold of the process, I think is only fair and a show of respect to the people who have demand.
That's fair. Danny, your final words.
The final word, I think we should take politics out of everything we do as a country. It's one of the things that is affecting us as a country. Okay. Yesterday I was disappointed in some of the words of the president and one member of parliament, NDC member of parliament in parliament. Look at the remark she gave. The woman, of course, your fellow woman died going to look for job, and you are saying it was ordained by God. And so there's nothing wrong with it. Are we serious? That out of our recklessness, people died, people lose their lives, and you blame it on God. That's why He gave us sense. This is avoidable. It's something that we can make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. And out of our recklessness, it happened, and you put it on God. And the president to say that previously when recruitment were going on, I can challenge the president. We can go back. In the 8 years of Akufo-Addo government, every year when military was doing recruitment, it was being advertised in the graphics. I can challenge the president.
I mean, that's been the norm.
Yes.
Certainly.
So why would the president do politics with it that because previous years there were recruitment and you don't hear about it, and this year he decided that it should be open, and that is why they say no. That's not the case.
That's fine.
You don't put it in such a manner that because of the previous government, it was being done secret. No, when you do that, it creates the impression that the previous government, they were doing it in secret, which was not the case. Yesterday, one of the guys testified that he was there last year, and this year too he was there. So we should take politics out of it, because this is the security we are talking about. That's the security of this country, and it should be devoid of politics. So I will plead with the government that they do the right thing. They should take politics out of it. They are trying to do politics with everything, and which is not helping the country.
That's fine. We appreciate you on that. So this has been the national agenda, and we came your way one more time to discuss the issue of the stampede that happened at the Elwak Sports Stadium. Our deepest condolences goes out to the families of these 6 women or young ladies who lost their lives. We pray that this does not happen again. So stick and stay with us. Just follow us. Subscribe to our social media handles, and subscribe to our YouTube handle as well. The National Agenda. Let's get interactive. Probably, who knows, next time your voice will be heard on the show.